The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. Today's webinar is brought to you by Canadian Chiropractor Magazine and sponsored by Spine Specialist Global. Our speaker today is Dr. Mark Jagger. Dr. Jagger is a leader in medical therapeutic technology innovation. He is the CEO of Spine Advanced Incorporated and holds patent on the world's first and only treatment device combining automated laser and spinal decompression, the Spine Specialist Laser Treatment Table. Dr. Jagger is also the active clinical director of Spine Advanced Clinical Headquarters in Mississauga, Ontario. He received his bachelor's degree in kinesiology and health science from York University and his doctor of chiropractic degree from New York Chiropractic College. He is the founder of laser-enhanced spinal decompression, laser-assisted spinal restoration, and laser-assisted meniscal decompression, therapies aimed at enhancing patient results through the unique combination of technologically advanced treatment methods. Welcome, Dr. Jagger.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Definitely keeps me busy. So I guess we'll get right into it here. What I'd like to talk to you about today is some innovations to revolutionize your practice and how those innovations can help enhance your patient and business outcomes. I'll start out by saying first that multitasking doesn't work too well. So it's just a reminder to turn off cell phones and no talking, texting, tweeting, Facebooking, Instagramming, Angry Birdsing, Pokemon Going, and Ice Bucket Challenging, backflips, especially not the backflips. But I'm going to try to flip the way you think about backs. I promise some of the jokes will hopefully be a little better than that one. So interaction creates action. So any questions you have during the webinar, just type them into the chat box and we'll answer them in the Q&A at the end. So if you could, just type a quick yes in the chat box so we can see you know where to direct those questions to. Appreciate that. This webinar will also be partly interactive, so I'm going to ask some questions throughout the webinar, and the responses can also be put into the chat box. So why are we here? Let's get into the meat of this. Take a few seconds to think about something very important. Think about why you're on this webinar in the first place. Think about one of the main reasons you want to learn this information that I'm going over here. It's because you're pursuing something. You're pursuing your dream. So I'd like you to take a deep breath and think about something. You know, what exactly is your dream? You know, Martin Luther King Jr. had one, and so do you. You know, what gets you up in the morning, and what does your ideal life look like? Does it look like a beautiful golfing vacation, even though sometimes golf can ruin the vacation? Does it look like a nice Lambo going down the Pacific Coast Highway? Does it look like a house on the coast of Hawaii here? You know, does it look like a beautiful office courtesy of Align Health in Newmarket and Dr. Marcy Sanderson? Beautiful office, and love it. Does it look like a full waiting room? To many of us, a full waiting room is what we're after. Does it look like the Spine Advanced Hummer? That was one of my dreams, so everybody thinks I'm ridiculous for driving this thing, but I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun. So does it look like a little bit more leisure time to pursue things like mountain biking, going on trips with your family to Maui, watching your family fight it out with lightsabers when they can't agree on where to go for dinner? Do you want to spend a little time off-roading? Do you want to spend a little bit more time at the gym? Or would you like to simply relax knowing that all the bills are paid, you got it made in the shade, and all you need is an attractive member of whatever persuasion is your preference? Stolen from a Van Halen song. This is one of my dreams. This spine specialist prototype number one. I wanted to do something great for patients and the profession as a whole. Maybe you want to help other chiropractors succeed as well, and helping patients and other chiropractors succeed, professionally speaking, that was one of my biggest ones. Here are a few other docs that we're helping succeed with this treatment method. Here's some of the media coverage that we've had introducing the spine specialist in a few of the clinics that have it already. But let's talk about what's really important here. Your family. It's a dream I think we all have in common. Having a successful practice enough to financially support a happy family, and at the same time, having enough time to spend with them. You know, what do you think the goal of your practice is? You know, type some of your answers in the chat box. I'm thinking that it'll be, you know, helping patients and to make a good living and to make a difference. And all those are great answers. But, you know, think of your practice in another way as well. Your practice is nothing more than a vehicle to help you achieve your dreams. And you really need to realize that that is what your practice is. So during this webinar, I'm going to try to teach you a few things. I'm going to try to teach you why technology will revolutionize your practice. I'm going to teach you how to enhance your practice using technology and when to enhance your practice using technology, and how all these things can help you unchain yourself from your practice so you can get your life back. Get your life back. There's another pun. The jokes are just rolling in here. Are you in the right place? Well, take a look at the next 5 questions on this slide. So would you like to make money without doing all the labor? Would you like to attract patients that already know that you have what they want? Would you like to take the uncomfortable convincing and selling out of your report of findings? Would you like to enhance patient and business outcomes beyond what you can currently achieve? Would you like to have the benefit of new treatment tools that increase your revenue and get you excited to go to work? Well, if you answered yes to 4 out of 5 of these questions, or even 1 or 2 of them, then you're absolutely in the right place. So my story. As chiropractors, we all have a fairly similar professional trajectory. Our first why is usually helping people. Then we find a few more whys: paying bills, supporting our family, and actually living outside our practice and enjoying that and having the resources to do so. I came out of school ready to treat the world, and I had $170,000 in student loan debt, borrowed another $15,000 to start my practice, and worked part-time at a rehab to finance the rest of my office start. Within 3 years, I purchased a second office. It was a busy, well-established subluxation practice. Brought my total debt load to $330,000. Payments on those loans close to $7,000 a month, not including rent and staff. So combined with that, my history of contact sports, injuries, and repetitive strain, it led to 2 or 3 days a week of migraines. So much so that I was literally laying down between patients to avoid throwing up on them. I was working 6 days a week. I was afraid that the migraines would end my career before my debts were repaid. And the power that made the body heals the body, but it wasn't happening for me, and I didn't know what to do. Luckily, a laser demo got rid of 90% of my headache in one day, one of the episodes. So that day in the headache fog, I signed a $25,000 lease for a laser. And what did I do? Amazingly, though, this technology solved my problem. So I was willing to pay for it for my patients and for myself. So does this type of stress sound familiar to you? If it does, that's okay. And if you're struggling in business now, that's also okay, because there's beauty in the struggle. A mentor of mine, after telling him how stressed I was about all this business issue, had the audacity to tell me that, well, that's good you're struggling, because now you know what it means. You know what it means. You never want to go back there again, and you become resourceful enough to get out of it. Not a runner? Well, now you are. Out of survival. What did I learn from this? I learned how to change, develop, and prosper, and also that resisting that was resisting my own progress. Why innovate your practice? Well, I have a pretty simple answer for that. Straight from Darwin. It is not the strongest species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one that is most adaptable to change. And this basically says it all. I can't take it anymore. Getting out of here. This is why evolution. This is why you need to evolve in your practice. The market is changing and its needs are changing. The ability to access information is changing, and everybody has a Google doctorate these days. They have an idea of what they need, but they don't know exactly. They just need a little bit of help finding it. This means that all fields must harness development, stay current and relevant to survive. This change gives us a very unique opportunity, though. It gives us the opportunity to utilize new tools and get chiropractic in front of more people as they realize what we can do. And here's where it all started, the reason for evolution. I needed to change the way I did things to both serve my patients better and to serve myself and family better by no longer working 6 days a week. I was tired of the usual chiropractic grind, and if you're thinking that you can't take things the way they are anymore, or you're hungry for some positive change, technology is a way to evolve. So why technology? It's instrumental in innovating your practice. It's the future. Simply put, modalities offer different capabilities than our hands alone. It's central to the practice of the future, just like our hands offer different capabilities than modalities do. The two in concert can produce synergistic results. For example, I use spinal decompression and laser to reduce axial force and compressive discs, to reduce pain and improve healing capacity, ridding the area of inflammation. And then I use the adjustment to get the area moving properly and aligned again. This synergy makes perfect sense. So do you want to enhance your practice so you're not doing the exact same things with the exact same results from now until the end of your career? Would you like a change that gets you out of routine, gets you excited again and absolutely loving your practice? Most importantly, do you want to enhance your practice so you're not doing the same exact things with the same results? Technology is efficient. It reduces your labor. It also can be run by assistants. It frees up your time to treat others, and it's easier on your body. You should only spend time performing the necessary tasks. Tasks requiring clinical judgment and assignment, like assessments, controlled acts like adjusting and acupuncture, these are the only things that you should be doing. Let technology and assistance help you with some of the labor. It also increases your revenue. This revenue increase adds a service that you don't have to perform, that you can actually charge more for. People also understand paying more for technology. My price went up in my office when I included technology, and nobody questioned it. That surprises me. You always need more revenue. And if you need more revenue, this is a beautifully natural way to do it. It's much easier than bringing up your price per adjustment. People notice that. Even a $5 increase is perceived as negative by your patient population. It may be understood, but it's still negative. If you bring a new service in at a higher price point that's perceived as new and improved, people will understand paying for this improved service. Now, you're likely wondering, some examples of what I mean by improved service. Well, for me, my two favorite modalities, spinal decompression and laser. This is actually the original engineering drawings. We fired the engineer after this. But, we were originally going to strap a fish tank with man-eating sharks underneath it, but we figured that might be too much risk and nobody's going to insure that. So medicine has adopted also a dolphin with a switchblade for surgical interventions, but actually that was a huge problem because they found that the dolphins were so intelligent, they already knew that surgery was not the best course of action in most cases. So it may not be real, but this is real. 80% of the population experiences back or neck pain at some point in their lives, and that's probably understated. And I guess that's fortunate for chiropractors. So if 80% of the population experiences back pain, I have a question. Do we find that 15% of that still only considers using a chiropractor? When I was in school, that was the number we were fed. I think that's pretty much the going number at this point in time. But what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means that 65% of the population are still not using you as a chiropractor or even considering you when they experience back pain. This monkey was as shocked as I was, even more so. We are neuromusculoskeletal specialists, and 65% of the population won't come to us to help alleviate their pain. When I started thinking in those terms, I realized that those are the people we need to get to. Those are the people that are going to increase our utilization. Those are the ones we're missing out on. And if the only thing we offer them is chiropractic adjustments, we're missing out on those people. Also, these are likely the people that are most likely not getting the solutions they need elsewhere. We need to attract those people because if we do, and if we fix their problems, we've not only helped a much larger segment of the population, but we've also proved our worth to a population of patients that were chiropractic skeptics in the first place. And how powerful do you think that is? I think it's amazingly powerful. So how do we accomplish this? The answer is to offer innovative solutions. We need to think differently about the way we practice. We need to get creative about what we do, and we need to get creative about what we do it, or how we do it. We can increase our utilization very drastically by marketing the same service that some patients are skeptical of. It takes an enormous amount of energy and convincing to do it this way, and it doesn't mean we should not market the adjustment, obviously. It just means that there's different ways to get patients into our offices, to trust us, to see our value, and ultimately believe in what we're doing. In my office, patients come in for laser-enhanced spinal decompression on the spine specialist and end up getting adjusted. Even patients that were strongly opposed to getting adjusted when they initially came in end up seeing all the people that are getting adjusted. They begin to trust me and have faith in my staff. And then they say, hey, doc, all these people loving their adjustments I see coming through the office, do you think I can try it too? So we need to change our thinking. We can't solve a problem by using the same type of thinking that we use to create that problem. We need to progress or we will regress. If you don't change what you do once in a while, you're going to stagnate. There are only so many different ways to present the same thing. I believe this is one of the key areas we struggle with as chiropractors. How many different patient management systems can we try, thinking each one is the magic bullet for marketing the same product, that being the adjustment. Now, I'm, again, not downplaying the adjustment. I'm just saying that adding to our offerings gets us noticed by different people. Even Tim Hortons has to change up their menu and offer new products to keep sales optimized. And they sell arguably one of the most widespread addictive products on the planet, which according to Mike Ditka, coffee is the lifeblood that fuels the dreams of champions. So we're being foolish if we think as chiropractors we're somehow immune to that. No field is. Medicine, consumer products, new things, new ways of presenting things are what keeps business thriving. We will keep new patients coming through the door and old patients coming back for new things to a place that they trust. True innovation is coming up with a product that the customer didn't even know they needed. Many of your patients don't know they need technology. It's up to you to be the educator, the doctor that they need to get the relief that they shouldn't have to live without. Or should I say, the health that they shouldn't have to live without. As I said, pain relief is mainly just a gateway to getting these patients onto chiropractic maintenance care. We have a responsibility as health leaders and patient educators to let patients know that. Henry Ford said that if he'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And cars have had marginal success. And resistance is how you know you're onto something valuable, because you might get some resistance. Larry Ellison, co-founder of Oracle, said, when you innovate, you got to be prepared for people telling you you're nuts. Well, tell me, as a chiropractor, have any of you experienced this? I'm not really a betting man, but I'll tell you, probably every one of us has experienced this. The amount of resistance we get from people that say they don't believe in chiropractors. Well, the first time I got told this was at my wife's company Christmas party, my first year in practice, from a guy across the table. I actually asked him to come over and pinch me to prove I was real, but I got a laugh, at least, from the room. But what an insult. I was humiliated in front of a room full of people. And, again, when I started employing laser and decompression, a person that worked in my office for a number of years that I considered, influential to me, told me that it was a fad. And, when the smoke cleared, I'd be back to business as usual, just like it had always been with the previous doctors in my practice, which I took really hard. It made me doubt myself. And, but that was my first taste with resistance with technology. And almost 10 years later, my first patent, my entire practice, manufacturing company is based on the idea that was simply going to come and go in the eyes of someone that I looked to for guidance in my early chiropractic career. And man, that feels good now. And that should make you feel good too. Sometimes resistance is how you know you're onto something valuable. And I know that chiropractors listening to this, some of you might be skeptical for including technology in your practice, but I expected that. Because, it's something that we're all too familiar with as chiropractors, and I call it the Chiropractors Paradox. Are you subluxation-based or are you pain relief-based? Well, we've all experienced the ravages of this. Why is it always the choice for chiropractors? The first 3 years in practice for me were hell because of this paradox, trying to figure out what I was. Am I a straight chiropractor? Am I a pain-based chiropractor? That was a tough one. We can, in the majority of cases, get people out of pain and then transition them to a more spine-friendly, healthy lifestyle, incorporating valuable maintenance adjustments. So Yogi Berra said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Utilize both to your advantage and to the advantage of your patients. Give the patient what they want, and then give them what you know they need. Pain patients come to your door. Fix them and you'll have a lifetime patient. I'd argue not trying to change your entire way of thinking about health when they're actually in too much pain to listen. How many patients have come into your offices and said, no, I don't care what you do, doc, just fix me. Well, I hear that every day, and they don't need a 3-visit report of findings sequence. They just want relief. I believe as chiropractors, we're obligated to provide that relief as fast as we can. Doesn't matter what we want to do. It matters what the patient needs. That's why we need to have every available tool that we can use to help them get that relief. I'd feel like I was doing them a disservice if I gave patients any less than that. Personally, when my office was high volume focused, I felt like I was working on an assembly line. For me, I wanted a little bit more relaxation, and I needed to find a way to do that. I didn't feel I was given the best care that I could possibly offer. So, and I'm sure a few of you might feel like that too. And if you do, just understand your spinal tapping volume does not have to go to 11 to differ in opinions with Nigel from Spinal Tap here. This cartoon illustrates kind of what it felt like for me to be on a high volume roller coaster. I was so concerned with my numbers that I was less concerned with my results, and not because I didn't care, but because I didn't have time to think about it with all those high numbers. I bet I'm not the only one that feels this way. the pressure to get your patient visit average as high as possible. Well, your PVA is not your badge of honor. For some docs, it's incredibly stressful to gauge success by how many patients you can get through your door. There are other ways to practice that can resonate with you and still give the best to your patients. Don't compete on numbers, thinking that the more people you treat, the greater good you're serving and getting chiropractic to the masses. If you're okay with that, that's fine. But if you're not, it doesn't have to be that way. Other professions have had enormous success with synergies of relief and maintenance care, providing the highest quality care that they possibly can. Dentistry, for example, we like to compare the adjustment to maintenance tooth care. Well, maintenance tries to help keep the big problems away, but it doesn't always work that way. People still get cavities, but dentistry has made it historically their move from fixing dental emergencies to stressing the importance of maintenance care. If dentistry relied on the minimal development of technology in the 1800s, your dentist would currently provide care with a fancy set of pliers, and in this case, likely a nice bottle of scotch or something cheaper that gets the job done. Technology in dentistry, again, it's helped develop amazing technologies to deal with these big problems like cavities, root canals, implants, spinal misalignments, and on to cosmetic dentistry now. I know a dentist that has his own private plane, and he claims that his success is because of the technology that he has put into his practice. Well, guess what? He's made it big business. Chiropractic is also coming with big business. We've come a long way. We need to start thinking just like dentistry. And why? Because limitation of matter matters. The power that made the body heals the body. But what happens when that limitation of matter is reached? We all know this principle. When maintenance gives way to emergency problems, when a patient has cavities, they need the drill or laser. When the person has a heart attack, they need emergency care. When a person blows out a disc or has unrelenting back or neck pain, they need emergency-based care. And who better to provide that emergency care with advanced technology at your disposal? A chiropractor is the absolute best option for these patients. So shouldn't we have the best and most capable tools to do the job that we're best at? Absolutely we should. Once we're out of pain, we can steer them towards chiropractic spinal maintenance care like we know we should. Ben Altadonna, a highly successful, well-known, and influential chiropractor. And just a break, if you don't follow him on Facebook, you really should. He's very inspiring, a ton of great inspiring posts and information. And he believes that chiropractic's problem is not that it's misunderstood. It's that it fails to understand its market. And the truth is, the majority of disc cases who don't consider us do so because they don't think we have the tools. In many cases, we don't. So we need to equip ourselves with the proper tools to do the job of giving patients the relief they want and then transfer them over to the health maintenance that they need. Understand your market wants and needs, fulfill those, and then you will have the attention and trust to be able to give the patients what you know that they need. That's why relief care needs maintenance care, and maintenance care needs relief care, and that's what your patients need. That's what the profession needs. That's why your office needs both. I believe that this is the solution to the chiropractic paradox. Therapeutic technology plus the best of pure chiropractic equals the most true expression of our chiropractic oath. This stuff has divided our profession ever since it started. It's ridiculous. We all have the same whys. Why do we have to argue so much about the hows? I don't know about you, but I don't really care if a principled chiropractor tells me that, well, technology isn't chiropractic, or if an evidence-based chiropractor tells me that, well, chiropractic principles are untested theories at best. That is not what counts. That's somebody's opinion. The only question you need to ask yourself does it help the patient? That's the only thing that matters. That's what we set our chiropractic oath to. Now, I'm not going to read the whole oath, but it says essentially that it'll keep the needs of my patients top of mind, and I'll always be searching for new ways to correct the cause of their diseases and employ these solutions to the best of my ability. This binds me to not only apply what I've learned in the past, but to be open-minded to new things for no other reason than a commitment to the physical and mental and spiritual needs of my patients. I feel that I have to keep improving and applying new things to stay true to my oath. But as a disturbingly ironic bonus, this helps my business in leaps and bounds. I know that some may say multiple schools of therapeutic thought distract focus, but I'd argue that it actually puts the focus back where it should be, on the patient's needs. So if you think melding the two camps of thought in one practice can't be done, why not? Let's get a little life philosophical here. If you can dream it, you can do it. Always remember that this whole thing was started by a mouse. make that apply to everything you do from this point on, whether it be business, outside life, while respecting the laws of physics, of course, because contradictory to what R. Kelly says, you actually cannot fly. In fact, he wrote some catchy tunes, but don't listen to much of his advice considering his personal and legal issues. But my point is, all the happiness that Disney and its associated ventures have provided all started from one idea, which incidentally makes a ton of money. But I challenge you to start looking at your practice this way, because your practice can be Chiropractic Disneyland. And your practice will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as you have imagination to do it. That was Walt Disney's mantra. So you're essentially Chiropractic Walt Disney, likely minus a few $1 billion, but plus a heartbeat. So you're on the good side of that. My point is, what is stopping you from being creative with your practice? That's exactly how you'll thrive. Your practice does not have to be static. The market is constantly changing. So constantly change to keep up with the times. Or to put it better, make it what you want it to be. I wanted a rehab practice when I started, then I wanted a subluxation-based practice, then I realized I wanted it all. And it's okay if that changes from time to time. Just make it yours. Medical technology, that helps you serve the greater good. So a lot of chiropractors think they should be adjusting as many people as possible to get chiropractic out to the masses. Regardless of what you do, if you're keeping the patient's needs in mind, you are serving the greater good. And one idea, continual development and improving of what you do for patients is how you serve the greater good. You're best serving the greater good by giving the patient what they need. If a quick adjustment fixes it and keeps them healthy, that's great. Do it. But if they need more and you're not equipped to do that for them, what are you going to do? If you are, and you can, think of how many lives you can touch, how many lives that are improved by the acts you do as a chiropractor. You should feel great about that. A medical specialist friend of mine always tells me that he's jealous about this fact about the chiropractic profession. He says he sees a patient and often never gets to see the actual effects of what he's done. Chiropractors get instant gratification in many cases. We see the effects of our interventions right away, and at very least, we normally get to witness our patients improve. So that's powerful for us, as well as for our relationship with the patient. And with this great power comes great responsibility. Early on in my use of spinal decompression and laser therapy, I had a man in his 40s come in, severely limited by his back pain. He'd been on medications, every other therapy he could think of, and he'd been for surgical consult and was told they didn't really have a solution because he had multiple levels of mild disc degeneration and the pain really didn't match up to the symptoms, or up to the physical presentation. So they couldn't pinpoint a specific issue, and they were willing to do surgery on him, but he kind of knew that it was a scattergun approach, so he opted against it. But he said the most upsetting part was that he couldn't play in the yard with his daughter because he couldn't stand for more than 5 to 10 minutes without pain. That hit me really hard. Playing in the yard with my daughter is one of the most favorite things of mine to do. So to make a long story short, we ended up getting him pain-free again, enjoying optimal function. And guess what? Now his daughter grows up with memories of playing in the yard with her dad, like she should. Boom. That is how this can affect a family, a life, ultimately a community, and a world. You do this every day as a chiropractor, and I don't know about you, but that's a pretty humbling thought. That's why it's important to be always doing the best work we can. Technology can, without a doubt, step up your game and help you treat people that may have been out of your realm and too burdened by limitations of matter to affect without it. Think of that trickle effect you initiate every day. So new technology is not so Mickey Mouse. It actually is kind of Mickey Mouse because it's one idea starting from which massive things can be achieved. This one idea actually develops your number one success factor. What's that? Your unique selling proposition. It's what makes you different. It would make you stand out from your competition. Makes you better at grabbing attention from your competition, and it'll ensure success and a steady flow of new patients who know that they want what you have to offer. Without a USP, what do you compete on? Hours, price? It's always been about that, but that means you have to be the cheapest price and you have to be open the longest, and that's no way to run a practice. Surprise, most practices don't have a USP because we were never conditioned to think of our practices as a business. Most practices offer similar techniques, similar modalities, similar products, etc. Well, where the competition struggles to survive, the unique will thrive. And as soon as I started with my first laser, this became apparent very quickly. Old patients were coming back elderly patients, reactivations, people that didn't want to be adjusted were coming in because they wanted the laser. Every time I introduced a new piece of equipment, I experienced this. So this became my business model. I realized that this is how every business works. New models, new products, new offerings. You know, some of you will have to forgive me. I came from a very basic business knowledge when I started my practices over 15 years ago. You probably knew more about business when you started. You know, I'm realizing this inexperience and experiencing the desperation that it caused. I started reading everything that I could possibly get to learn and apply to my practice because I was struggling to survive. I actually went into massive amounts of debts, you know, more than what was mentioned earlier, trying to pay my employees and not myself at times before I discovered how to use technology to my advantage. So there's a light in that sinking ship, though. The doctor I bought my supplication-based practice from actually admitted to me 3 years after I purchased it that he, quote, sold me a sinking ship and thought I'd be out of business within 2 years. He said he was relieved to see that I was making a go of it and happy that I had made it successful. Well, that's crazy. Shows to me, though, to quote John Mayer, with a will to work hard and a library card, you can turn anything around. You can accomplish what you want. If my ship hadn't been sinking, I wouldn't have had that desperation that made me alter my course, learn, innovate, and apply. It's okay if it's not ideal from the beginning, and in fact, I'd say that's probably better because then you learn what it takes to evolve. Talk to any ultra-successful entrepreneur, and they'll tell you that desperation is the most powerful catalyst on the road to success. So technology is that USP. It gives you enhanced capabilities for treating your patients and enables you to appear unique. This thinking made me develop the laser enhanced spinal decompression table in the spine specialist. I started employing laser in about 2007 and called it laser enhanced spinal decompression, you know, mainly because laser seemed like a great combination to deal with both compressive forces in the disc and the resultant soft tissue damage. It worked so well that my office was stretched far beyond capacity. So to address this need, I needed a more effective way to treat so I could get more patients through my office. That's where the spine specialist laser-assisted spinal restoration table was born. So from an idea to appear unique to my direct market, meaning my practice, the idea for a unique new device was born. That's the power of your ideas. Your ideas can disrupt a market in a positive way, getting you noticed by your target customers. They can even go as far as to lead to creation of a disruptive technology that can improve your capabilities and that of your industry. So now let's define what is meant by a disruptive innovation. Disruptive innovation is an innovation that creates a new market and new value network, eventually disrupts an existing market and value network, displacing established market-leading firms and products and alliances. While we're not looking to displace anything, we're looking to add to it. But look at Walkman, the Walkman to the CD to iPod, eventually to the iPhone. Now, who thought you'd eventually be able to get email, music, and internet on your phone? You know, chiropractic can benefit, though, from the same type of disruptive improvement. Think of all the things that you can do with your patients with enhanced capability. The best part is that disruptive technology is actually what your market wants. Sales for Apple go through the roof every time they introduce a new product. People always want a new offering, and this is why I created the Spine Specialist, as people are always looking for new technology, and we know this to be true. Now, let's look at Apple. You know, I have to apologize to any diehard Apple fans in here, but this perfectly illustrates how companies profit from disruptive technologies. How do you milk sheep? Introduce a new iPhone. It's so true. They've created a cult-like following, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's the name of the game, and that's what success looks like. Anyone who makes fun of their successes is just jealous of it. Truthfully, Apple's brilliant for this. Another disruptive technology, Uber. Market gets what the market wants. I don't always take a taxi, but when they do, it's an Uber. Imagine this was your Uber driver. So whatever you do, do not be talking to him, even if he's the only one there. Disruptive medical technology. How about a dental drill leading to dental laser? How about arthroscopic surgery? How about robotic surgery? What about laser hair removal? Laser tattoo removal? Laser tattoo removal bad tattoos and bad decisions spawn new technology we didn't have before. Why? Because the market wanted it, and the market gets what it wants. What about ultrasound fat loss, cavitation, and cryolipolysis? Another two technologies developed from patient need. Let's look at laser eye surgery, one of the most disruptive technologies in recent years for medical technology. Think of how this has turned vision correction on its head. took an industry that's based its entire revenue stream on selling contact lenses and glasses, and it performs a procedure that virtually eliminates the need for these. The procedure costs essentially what glasses would cost you for 15 or 20 years, so that's how the math makes sense. More medical disruption, related to chiropractic, X-ray. The X-ray has been disruptive and reasonably useful. Before X-ray, there was no way to look inside the body without ripping it open, which usually created other problems. So bonus points for any of the diagnoses on these things, type them into the chat box. MRI, it's given us further insight, especially for us disc-focused docs. We can now see soft tissue in excellent detail. So on the left X-ray, we got a Sherman spine. On the right, we have T2 weighted image and pterolisthesis L5 on S1, and a little bit of disc issue there too. So L5, S1, and little at L4. So my point here is that, chiropractic can benefit from this too. Enter our own disruptive technology. What I just covered was the basis for my philosophy and innovation, creating the spine specialist. I was merely borrowing from the successes that technology's had in evolving so many other professions. Why should we, in the realm of pain relief and health optimization with so much good that we can do for patients, be left behind in this evolution? We don't have to be. My goal is always for the spine specialist to help patients with back pain on the same scale that laser eye surgery has helped those with vision deficiencies, but also to help doctors that want to offer advanced technology to their patients to get better results, both patient outcome and business-wise. Think of all the vision care specialists that have based their entire massive incomes on laser vision correction. Why can't we as chiropractors follow that same business model? There is really no reason. So what are we trying to achieve with this disruptive technology? It's market domination. This is really what we're trying to achieve. So think of unique companies that dominate their market: Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Uber. They tell a story that appeals to and attracts customers, giving them what they want to offer. How does your practice do this now? Who do you compete with, and how successful do you think you would be if you eliminated the effects of competition by offering some unique technology, which can also stimulate the minimizing of the effects of competition? It can differentiate you and get you noticed. The business model virtually eliminates the effect your perceived competition has on you. Because you do something so different, it provides a leap ahead of competition and levels up what you can do. If patients see the technology and experience success, especially when they're not able to find relief somewhere else, just think of how it makes your office look. They're now solid in their belief that you know what you're doing. That I have often patients come into the office, say they saw my videos or brochures and they know they're in the right place to get fixed because of my knowledge and use of technology. It gives a confidence in the perception of my abilities. And at the end of the day, that's what's important. That's what your patient comes to you for, and that's why they continue to come to you. They begin to view you like they view their renowned specialist. How many patients have you heard come in and say, well, my doc got me to see the top specialist for my back or for my knee? Well, how many top specialists can there actually be? Probably just only one. It also stimulates medical referrals. Now, mainstream medical initially understands and trusts technology much easier than they do chiropractic, and that's kind of a big deal because medicine can be the ultimate chiropractic food source. Let's face it, there's massive potential in this as a feeder for our practices. We may not like this fact, but we can't deny it's true. Why? Because for musculoskeletal pain, most doctors know, medical doctors know, they have very few viable and successful solutions. Ask any MD if they're satisfied with the prescription of anti-inflammatories in most cases, because I'll bet they aren't. They normally know that it's just a Band-Aid. Imagine if you had these family doctors consistently impressed with your results and referring to your office. You wouldn't have to advertise for referrals ever. And I've experienced this firsthand. When medical doctors started seeing what I was able to offer, they started referring their patients. One of the doctors came in to get her knees done and her back, and they were hearing about me through the grapevine and actually writing my name on their prescription pads. This type of thing was unheard of before I had technology in my office. MDs wouldn't even give me the time of day, and now they send me referrals without asking for them. So if you think there's value in getting your practice noticed, technology has that type of effect. Technology breeds innovation, and innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Steve Jobs did okay with this. He was a leader. Everything he did was building from an initial idea and an initial innovation that started it all. Innovation creates fertile ground for other innovation. It makes you think of other ways to do things and then in turn promote what it is that you do. I've come up with a number of spin-offs and offerings that build on what I already do with this technology in my practice, and I'm constantly looking for new things to employ. I wouldn't think like that unless I'd taken the initial leap in technology in the first place. It snowballs, and sometimes you end up with more great ideas than you can actually implement, which is great because then you always have something up your sleeve to give you an edge. So technology also creates a buzz. Your office buzzes with renewed energy. It energizes the environment by adding new opportunities. It gives patients, staff, and doctors something to be excited about. So I suggest adding something new every few years. It keeps everybody motivated, patients, staff, doctors alike. It also shows you care enough to stay current and cutting edge in the eyes of your patients and your staff. New product introductions function exactly this way. Again, just look at Apple, especially the Jobs years since the iPod. So this brings us about how to enhance through technology. Well, this is how I did it. Spinal decompression and laser. Some of you may have experience with this, but I'll explain a little bit of technologies quickly. So spinal decompression essentially cycles through decompressive and decompressive traction forces, creating vacuum effect and increasing the circulation of the disc, helping to suck the disc material back into the center of the disc where it should be. At the very least, it helps relieve axial compressive forces on the disc and the damage and pain that may cause. And we're probably seeing this infographic here measuring the vacuum effect in the disc. So laser itself, we use class 4 laser therapy in the spine specialist. It can help increase the circulation, flush out inflammation, promote pain relief, and increase cell healing energy. So in itself, it's helpful at reducing the soft tissue problems resulting from wear and tear to the disc and associated structures. The reduction of the pain also helps reduce muscle spasm, and it's very easy then to understand how a patient under simultaneous decompression can get a much better and more comfortable, relaxing, complete stretch. So with the simultaneous automated combination of the two therapies, our goals are to help reduce the compressive effects and also to influence the soft tissue healing. So as it occurred to me in reading approvals for other decompression devices, they talked about the purpose of their pull pattern algorithms as being able to, quote, fool the muscles into relaxation, thus allowing a more effective decompression. In fact, they went as far to say that muscle relaxation is the key to an effective decompression treatment. Well, that rung a bell with me. From my experience with laser, my first thought was, well, why fool the muscles into relaxation with pull patterns when you can directly relax them through the application of the laser? As it turns out, in the official documentation submitted to Health Canada and FDA, relief of pain and muscle spasm are the main approved indications for laser therapy. So to me, this meant spinal decompression and laser therapy were the perfect marriage of techniques. Both clinically and from a business perspective, I found this to be absolutely true. So I'll play a little video here that just shows you how the laser treats the spine simultaneously with decompression. This is our spine specialist in action here. For purposes of demonstration, we obviously won't be decompressing the model spine, but you get an idea of how the laser passes through the discs and creates a little bit of pink glow when it gets to the discs there. So in my practice, we'll use that as the first case study. I initially packaged laser-enhanced spinal decompression in about 2007 using a decompression table and a handheld class 3B laser. This worked phenomenally, and I got insanely busy working out of 7 rooms with an 8 for overflow. This was awesome to be busy, but logistical nightmare trying to schedule all the rooms and move patients in pain from the decompression room to the laser room, etc. I thought there had to be a better way that, and that led to the spine specialist prototype. In a busy office on a Saturday, it ironically led to the right patient walking in for treatment, and I joked with her about how I needed a table that did it all for me, which I had an idea for. This patient happened to know someone that could help me build a prototype, so that's where it started. And in fact, when that prototype was done and I started employing it into my practice, it did all the work for me. It ended up doing all the work that normally took me 45 minutes in 15 minutes instead. It ended up doing all the work in the same room at the same time with only physical labor required from me of actually setting the patient up. It ended up doing all the work for me so that I could go treat patients in my now free 6 other rooms that were freed up for adjustments and other revenue-generating needs. The one table in one room treats more patients than 2 lasers and 2 decompression tables are capable of, and it does that with a quarter of the human labor and in a third of the time that would be required in all 4 of those rooms. It ended up doing all the work for me and spreading the word far and wide about this new thing that Dr. Jagger has. Now, some other doctors are enjoying all this too, not just myself. And the coolest thing for me right now is to know that patients that I will never meet in offices that I will never see are enjoying benefits of the unique treatment the spine specialist can provide. And I'm proud to say that taking the leap of faith to include technology in my practice was the catalyst that started it all. Technology was the catalyst, and technology can be your catalyst. But when do you revolutionize your practice? Well, everyone naturally worries about what it actually comes down to, the dollars and cents and the cost of investing in technology. I urge you to think about what it is, though, that one word, investment. It boils down to value and ROI. Nobody thinks about the money they're spending on a GIC or RRSP or other investment. They don't think about what it's costing them. They think about what it's making them. And that's the way I urge you to think about technology. Equipment is an asset versus a liability. When I was struggling with my practice, early on, a patient of mine gave me a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And if you haven't read it, you really need to read it. The main point of it all is it talks about the actual difference between assets and liabilities. Liabilities being the things that you pay for, and assets being the things that you pay that pay you. He talks about income properties, etc. And I wasn't at the stage where my $300,000 plus in debt would allow me a down payment on a property, but I could qualify for a lease on a laser and a decompression table. And those two pieces of equipment could and did make me an average of about 10 times what the payment cost every month. So it's an investment that makes money work for you. Equipment usually provides a much higher ROI than any other investment you can make, if done intelligently. Income properties don't even make that type of return, except lately in the Toronto market, if you've been watching any of that. But this is something you can enjoy the benefits of in your practice as soon as you include a new, unique technology on top of what you already do. Or maybe you're looking for a shift in practice to get you excited about what you do again, and that's okay too. The point is, technology is an asset that creates solid, positive, exponential value in your practice. So to make the decision about whether it's right for you, you really need to answer only 3 questions. If technology did nothing more than reduce the labor requirements on you, allowing you to take some extra time off, maybe shift your focus to working on the business at least as much as you work in the business, would it be worth it? Well, for me, I had extra time to spend with my family, pick up my daughter at school, hang out with my wife once in a while. Business-wise, I personally have a much easier time keeping, the bird's eye view on the practice when I have even an extra hour a week to look at the numbers. This way I know when the peaks and valleys are, and I can devote a little extra time to keeping the practice consistent. So absolutely for me, it was worth it. Yes. If technology did nothing more than improve your outcomes with patients, getting them better, faster, and more effectively, allowing you the ability to achieve greater results with even the difficult cases that you may not have had success with in the past. For me, again, this is an absolute yes. This is what it's all about, results. I have many patients that weren't getting lasting relief before I started using laser and decompression. And the majority of these patients now, even the ones with serious disc degeneration, come to my office for monthly maintenance instead of having to go under the knife. We've saved so many people from surgery, and that, I don't have to tell you, feels absolutely amazing. If technology did nothing more than attract 3+ new patients to your office every week, would it be worth it there? And 3 is a very conservative number, by the way. That's general organic traffic in most cases. My office routinely has had 15 new patients in a week on one small newspaper advertisement costing $500 to $1,000, depending on where it's placed. Many of you will be more, skilled than me with social media and more advanced advertising methods than I initially used. So you could achieve numbers much higher than that in the right realm. So yes, definitely it's worth it. If each of those patients were $2,500 a case over the course or directly, would it be worth it? $7,500 a week in new patient traffic and over $350,000 a year on the reasonably possible side, not including the people you already treat. Well, my practice pulls very similar numbers, part-time practice, on 3 full days a week due to my table manufacturing responsibilities and that of my family. And I really only treat patients 2 full days and 2 half days a week. So how would that type of schedule and revenue change what you do right now? Well, Thomas Jefferson has your answer. If you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. If you want new results, patient and business, simply put, you have to do something about it. And it might be scary at first, but don't let that stop you, because everything you want is on the other side of fear. I love quotes. I love the inspiration that comes from them and the great things that can be achieved through this inspiration. So I'll end it with a quote from one of the first books I read that got me on the track to refocusing my business efforts, from Jack Canfield. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. I have to consistently remind myself of this, and that it's okay. It's okay to be a little uncomfortable, because if you're completely comfortable, you're not going anywhere that's worth the trip. Throw hesitation out the window once in a while and stick your neck out a little. Make a change, whatever that change is, that will positively affect your life, your practice, and the lives of your patients. I sincerely hope that I've given you some useful information on this webinar, and above all, some inspiration. Time is our most valuable asset, so from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for spending this last hour with me. I thank you for your attention, and I wish you all the best in your business, family, and beyond that. And if there's ever anything that I can do to help you, please never hesitate to connect with me through website, Facebook, or wherever else you can find me. Admittedly, sometimes lately it's been at Baskin-Robbins, where my daughter seems to want to go every day. So with that, let's open the floor up to some Q&A.
Thanks, Dr. Jagger. We do have some questions here for the doctor. Just a reminder that we might not be able to get to all of them on time, so Dr. Jagger will be happy to answer those offline after the presentation. So our first question here says, for patients who are used to more basic grassroots care, what was their initial reaction to introducing this technology to their treatment?
Okay, great question. Yeah, because I did transfer from subluxation-based, started rehab, went into subluxation-based, and then melded the two in introducing that technology. So yeah, there was definitely effect on those subluxation-based patients. Admittedly, there are some who didn't want to try the laser because they just wanted adjustment. But for the majority of those patients, it was a very welcome introduction. They really appreciated that our office was appearing to look more cutting edge and interested in investing to give them better results. So those grassroots care patients transitioned quite well over to laser, and I still employ it as a modality as needed with even a lot of those grassroots subluxation-based minded patients.
Okay, we have another question. So what kind of patient education is involved with introducing tech?
Okay, so what we did was, when we knew the technology was coming, we had a bit of an email list and a snail mail list. We created some introduction letters and sent those out to old patients. That was the first jump that we got. So the best way to launch something like this actually really, to us, wasn't spending thousands and thousands of dollars on the outside advertising. It was advertising it to our patient population first. So we put up some signs in the office, some posters, and that type of thing. Our current patient population gave us the first initial massive jump, and it probably wasn't for maybe 3 months or so that we started looking at outside advertising, because our current patient population kept us so busy with the new tech.
Okay, our next question is, in incorporating this technology to your clinical treatments, how has it influenced patient referrals?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat that one more time? It cut out a little bit.
In incorporating this technology to your clinical treatments, how has it influenced patient referrals?
Oh, great. Yes, very much so, actually, because a lot of the patients that, whether they're using it or not, the foot traffic that comes in for my services and for our massage therapist, we have a couple other practitioners in the office. They see what we have up in the office, and they view it as different and new. And a lot of the people that come into our massage therapists, some of them see other chiropractors, and they start thinking, well, if I've got a disc problem or a friend with a disc problem, it's influenced the numbers of inside patient referrals and patients referring that don't even see us for regular chiropractic.
Okay, one more question you have here. You mentioned you've developed spin-offs inspired by the use of technology. What type of spin-offs do you mean?
Oh, okay. So this is a good pearl. So a couple different things. Firstly, we do some bracing and medical equipment within the practice, and a lot of the time it's applicable to the patients that see us for the decompression laser for the spine specialist. So I'm not a big advocate of regular use of bracing, but patients that are under the decompression program will actually benefit from bracing worn an hour to 2 hours after, or 2 hours after the treatment. So there's a bit of an add-on there that can be done for your practice sales, TENS units or another thing. So it influences the ability to be able to sell other products within your office. The second thing is we've developed other ways to use the table. If you go on our YouTube page, you'll see how I use the decompression table for knee treatments using decompression and laser, same type of theory. So if I hadn't have been using technology in the first place, I wouldn't have come up with that with the knee program as well, which is proving to be very successful. So, don't ever hesitate to use some of your own ideas within your practice because, in the different patients that you see and the different experiences you've had, you may come up with ways to treat patients that other people haven't thought of or that you hadn't thought of previously. And it may even lead to, new devices that you think should be out there. It's totally possible for you to develop any type of therapies and technologies that you find work within your practice. So it really spawns a lot of great ideas.
All right. Our last question for the session, how do insurance companies view technology from a funding perspective?
Okay, so anything that is taught within as I understand, anything that's taught within a chiropractic college, accredited chiropractic college, is a modality underneath chiropractic. So laser most definitely is, spinal decompression most definitely is. So the way we do it is, it's a general chiropractic visit. Now, most people will also get adjusted as well, so it may be an add-on or it may be something that you do in concert with. So as a modality, it's normally considered, in Canada especially, I can't really speak for different states in the US, but in Canada, it's a chiropractic modality underneath your regular visit.
All right, Dr. Jagger, we do have time for one more question that just came in. Has technology utilization made any impact on your relations or interactions with other healthcare professionals?
Oh, absolutely. So I spoke a little bit about the MD referrals that were coming in. So initially, I got surprised by seeing a prescription pad with my name written on the prescription pad, a doctor that was a few blocks and down the street. That he saw my ad, I guess, in the newspaper, and he thought that one of his patients might be applicable to it. So medical doctors, I've had a number of them notice what I do and hear from their patients, et cetera, et cetera. So I have a number of medical doctors that are referring now to my practice. But the other thing that most people don't think of is other chiropractors. When you do something that is different than the majority of the rest of your profession, other chiropractors start to see the value in it. And I have a lot of chiropractors that refer to me as well. And what I do with them is I stick to the more, disc-related care. So if they have a patient with a disc injury or something that they feel is treatable through the spine specialist, then I'll treat them with that and then send them back to their chiropractor for regular chiropractic maintenance care. So we've done a really good job of fostering relationships with other chiropractors by, sticking to what we do best and letting them do what they do best. So definitely those two have been, it's been quite effective in developing relationships with other healthcare professions, which end up being referral sources.
All right. So if we didn't get to your question, keep in mind Dr. Jagger can answer anything you still want to ask offline. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Jagger.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it.